Bam Adebayo could have possibly hinted at playing with Donovan Mitchell on Twitter. We'll break down those series of tweets as well as the friendship that could be the most vital piece of information for both of these teams going forward into this offseason, all on this episode of Heat Digest, and we're going to do it right now. The relationship between Bam Adebayo and Donovan Mitchell is not one of anything that is relatively new, as an example of this would be from 2 years ago, October 21st of 2022, an article written on Slam Online. If you don't know what Slam is, they're just basketball. That's what they are. They produce basketball content, whether it be written articles or just great photographs. If you've never seen a Slam magazine, you just don't know what basketball is, I'm assuming. They're just like the most iconic magazine for basketball of all time. Obviously, they are now much more than that with a media outlet and a bunch of other forms of content. And this was an article written by Joshua Tapia 2 years ago, saying Donovan Mitchell touches on working out with Bam Adebayo over the summer. Just again, this is just another example of how this friendship is not just something that bloomed out of the ground in the last 24 hours. This has been going on for years now. This article goes on to say, and I quote, "The Heat seemed like the clear landing spot for Mitchell as NBA fans believed they had enough assets to send the Utah Jazz in exchange for the shooting guard. A deal like that would have pushed the Heat towards favorited championship odds, especially considering Mitchell and Adebayo's chemistry at the Miami Pro League over the summer. Mitchell and Adebayo were also seen working out with one another throughout the offseason." Then goes on to say, and I quote, "I said this to somebody. I was like, man, I'm working out with Bam Adebayo and others, and I'm just thinking, this is just preparing. This is just what it's going to look like," Mitchell said on JJ Redick's podcast, The Old Man and the Three. Now, this is not just the biggest piece of information in the world, as this is just another example that we all probably know, as we all know that Donovan Mitchell and the Miami Heat have been in connections, been in talks, if you will, for the last 3+ years. It feels like it is never going to end. It feels like every time Miami seems like they need something, every time it's coming up on the trade deadline during the regular season, or the second the season ends, for either of these teams, whether it be the Utah Jazz when Mitchell was there, or in the Cleveland Cavaliers now that Mitchell is playing in Cleveland. Whenever Miami season ends and Mitchell's season ends wherever he is playing, it seems like there's some form of connections between these two teams, and it seems like it's never going to end until Mitchell ends up in a Miami Heat jersey. So now, 2 days ago, we saw this tweet from Bam Adebayo, quote tweeting, or subtweeting, if you will, Say Cheese on Twitter. They post everything and anything on Twitter, and a few days ago they posted this. "Original PS2 games are now coming to PS4 and PS5 consoles." Bam Adebayo, excited as he should be, said, "Tell me when Midnight Club is available. Going to buy me a PS4 ASAP." And then quickly quote tweeted that tweet saying PS5 my fault with the laughing emoji, because he probably didn't realize what PlayStation is currently out, because he probably doesn't play it a lot. But then Santi Ortiz responds to Bam's comment about PS5 my fault and says, "Bring Mitch to Miami and I'll give you my PS5," with the salute emoji. Now, it's a hell of an offer. It's a hell of a trade. PS5 for Donovan Mitchell. It's a hell of a conversation to have. No reason to shut it down yet, Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo responds with a gif of Will Ferrell kind of just rubbing his chin in the sense of, I may like that idea. That seems like a hell of a deal. I like the negotiation here. Seems like we can get something done. And obviously, the second that happened, a lot of media outlets, Heat Nation is one of them, came out and said Bam Adebayo pours fuel on the Donovan Mitchell to Miami Heat trade rumors. Obviously, if we click on the photo, we know what happens. It takes us to the article, where we get the biggest piece of information out of everything we've discussed up to this point, going on to say, and I quote, "Cavs owner Dan Gilbert and Kobe Altman would look for a lucrative package of multiple draft picks and one or two young players with star potential in a Mitchell trade," end of quote, wrote Ashish Muther of Hoops Wire. I'm sorry, I did look up how to pronounce it. Ashish was the way it was said, okay? I apologize if it's incorrect. It is my best attempt. And it goes on to say, and I quote, "For example, a source told Hoops Wire that the Cavaliers would ask for a Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Heat in a Mitchell trade talks if it gets to that point. End of quote. Okay, so again, the biggest piece of information we will discuss in this entire video. As we know, we have known and we do know about the Mitchell and Bam Adebayo relationship. We've known about that. As, again, I showed you guys the example from 2 years ago. It started even before that. It could have been 3 years ago when this all really bloomed. And again, it has never really died down. Whenever there is a time period where the Miami Heat or Donovan Mitchell seem like they're going through some type of rocky road and they need out or they need help, they're always in connections. It always seems that way. We saw it firsthand this past season going into the NBA trade deadline, and we've seen it now. The second our season ended, the second the Cleveland Cavaliers season ended, the talks restarted just like that. Like nothing to it. It was just like clockwork. And again, it's nothing new. That is what I was trying to prove in the first part of this video. And now with these quotes and this article, and obviously this quote from this article, this is by far and away the biggest piece of information because obviously it hasn't gotten to that point and no one has picked up the phone yet, at least that we know of from either side of the equation with the Miami Heat or the Cleveland Cavaliers. But again, if it got to that point, we kind of have an idea of what Cleveland is going to be asking for and looking for in a trade for Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and a few draft picks, at least 1 to 2 draft picks, as well as those two players. Here's my rebuttal to that trade. Hell no, okay? And here's what I mean by that. We cannot give up Jaime Jaquez, okay? I understand he's young. I understand he's promising. They want a piece like that. Let's give up Jovic. And I understand a lot of people may be torn on that. A lot of people may like Jovic more than Jaquez. I'm on Jaquez's boat. I really and truly really enjoy watching him play the game of basketball. I think he fits in greatly with the Miami Heat. Yes, I think Jovic is going to be a problem in the future. I think he's really going to develop well. But again, if he's not in a Miami Heat jersey, what will that happen? Will he really excel like we saw him really take off and really step forward like he did last season? Again, he wasn't a world beater. He wasn't really getting the entire job done. But again, he was only a sophomore. He really only in his second season because he didn't play a lot his first year. So a lot of people were calling it a rookie year just due to the inexperience and the lack of playing time his first season. But again, is it going to happen? Not really sure. I don't know. But again, if Jovic is moved and they are willing to take Tyler Hero and Jovic and possibly 1 draft pick, I really don't want to give up 15 either. I know, or what do we have? Yeah, 15. We have the exact middle pick in the first round. They would probably want Hero. I'm gonna replace Jaquez with Jovic just to hypothetical. So Hero, Jovic, 15th overall pick in the first round of the draft. That's a hell of a trade right there for Donovan Mitchell, and they probably want another pick. I would try to give them 2 pick swaps rather than giving them the 15th overall pick because I would love to see Zach Edey drafted by the Miami Heat or some type of power forward or center drafted by the Miami Heat in this upcoming NBA draft in late June 26th, 27th. So again, I can't wait to see how that plays out. But again, I do not want to see Jaime Jaquez Jr. moved. I will say the article wraps up by saying, while Heat fans shouldn't overreact to a social media post that was perhaps made in jest by Adebayo, they also should expect to continue to see the team connected to Mitchell and trade rumors, as we have for the last 3 years, and it's never going to end. Like I said, it seems like until Mitchell ends up in a Miami Heat jersey, these rumors are never going to end. And again, was Adebayo being serious? Probably not. Again, does he like the idea? Was he just being playful and funny? Most likely. Hopefully it does mean, hopefully he gets called into the office and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra want to have a conversation. Hopefully he vouches for someone like Donovan Mitchell. Hopefully he takes hopefully he's on the page of Donovan Mitchell rather than Tyler Hero. Hopefully he's leaning more towards Donovan Mitchell and possibly calling for Hero to be traded, because you know how I feel. I would love to see Hero traded. I think replacing him with someone like Donovan Mitchell, even if it meant giving up someone like Jovic in a few pick swaps, not that 15th overall pick. I'm telling you, I really want to see that pick stay in Miami because I want to see Zach Edey. But again, I might be a bit too selfish in the sense I want to keep all our assets and be able to get Donovan Mitchell. So again, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about a possible appropriate trade package and what players you would be willing to give up for someone like Donovan Mitchell. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one.